Sorry. I know it's alive on here. But welcome to another episode of Soul Filling, where you get your soul fed. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Kobe.
And today we are talking about minority health because it is Minority Health Month. But you know what we got to do before we get into the topic? We got to tell you guys what fed our soul this week. So, ladies, have y'all been thinking on it? Do you got something to share with our soulmates?
Nothing this week for me.
Nothing this week.
This was a slow week. Nothing.
A slow week.
I had one when we had texted each other in the morning what time we were gonna start. I was thinking of it, but now that it's the podcast, I cannot think of it what is to save my life right now. So maybe if you go while you going, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I'll go. It's actually like bitter. It's just bitter, really. Like it's bittersweet. It's like, when you find a lesson out of darkness. And so I've been just seeing on social media like a person, people dying, or DMX just died, and it just really made me think about, why do we care about anything that other people think? Why do we stress ourselves out about little things? Why are we overthinking so much when life is so precious? And so it just made me think, like, wow, we really have to enjoy every single moment. And soulmates, I don't want us to go through life, stressing and worrying and all these things all the time, because life is wonderful, and we really can't take it for granted. And so there's just some fun things I did this week in the middle of the week randomly. Like, I went skating at night and it was so much fun. When Deborah came over yesterday, and we like hung out in the jacuzzi, and we like ran around town to pick up fast food. And it was just like random experiences like this that I'm just like, I want more of that. And so now, I am very, I guess, like careerish minded, but I want to really say purpose driven. But within that purpose doesn't always have to be business, doesn't always have to be, scaling, doesn't always have to be all. Sometimes it's the regular things, like hanging out with your best friend in the middle of the night, going to the 7-Eleven and picking up some ice cream. So those are the more moments I want to have, spending time with people I love and things like that.
Yes, no, Tiff, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, remember, since my car accident, I've been thinking that same thing. Like, wait, we have to cherish life. And then, of course, the DMX situation, God, like, rest his soul and condolences to his family. But like, and I was thinking something similar to that the other day, and then it came to me again because yesterday I was watching this Breakfast Club interview with Robert Greene, and he's the author of the book 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, and all those books. And I was like, and in the book, so going back a little bit, I was watching Animal Planet, or like the National Geographic channel, with Leo, because I was looking at on TikTok how people actually play these shows for their dogs.
I was like, I'm gonna play Animal Planet or something for Leo one day and just see how he responds. And so I did, but come to find out, since I'm such a science nerd, I started watching the show and get real all into it. And so I was just looking, and it was like talking about all the animals, America's top 5 animals, and it was comparing it to Africa's top 5 most powerful animals. And so it was just showing all these different animals I ain't never heard of, never seen, never would have known they even existed. And I was like, dang, I just had this epiphany, like in the middle of watching that, like, God, we could have really been born any one of these animals, but God chose us to be a human, y'all. Like, how amazing and powerful is that? Like, we could have been a dog, we could have been a cat, we could have been a frog, we could have been a bird, we could have been any, like, an ape, a bear. all these different things, but God made us humans. And like humans are like one of the most profound creatures. And then going back to the Breakfast Club interview, Robert Greene was saying the same thing. He was like, the fact that, you know, we are here on this podcast, like me, you, Angela Yee, like Charlamagne, like us making this connection, this is so powerful. And I think about that same thing, like B, Tiff, Kobe, like us making this connection, like us being here as humans, like all our soulmates, y'all being here engulfed in this, like in the Soul Filling podcast, like this is not no coincidence. This was all by divine design, and just like we cannot be taking this for granted. Like we really have to live these beautiful lives as humans and live out our full human experience. Like you were just saying, even if that's just going to the 7-Eleven and getting some ice cream, or, you know, just, you know, being around your loved ones, just really soaking up their beauty and not even doing nothing all spectacular that we feel like we always have to chase. And we talk about this all the time with the social media era, how we like always on social media and we're looking at comparing ourselves, looking at what this person have, that person have, or looking at this order, this specific order that makes us feel like, oh, I don't have it together at this time, or I don't have this at this age, I don't have this at that. Then it makes us feel inadequate, but we don't really need none of that at those timelines because we're all living in our own timeline. So just really appreciating where you are with what you have and being thankful, because we're right where we're supposed to be, and we have everything that we need right now in this time, in this moment. Just that's beautiful that you brought that up. I can't remember mine, but I think that was mine now.
Right. And just hearing you talk about that, and listening to the podcast, that our last podcast, Self-Sabotage, and then Tiffany holding everybody accountable. It just made me think about like, what good does it serve you if you're not being like putting action behind your awareness? So we are aware of certain things, and we do know certain things, like you said, wherever you are in your walk with Christ, wherever you are in your health journey, like wherever you are in your journey, you know some things, like you have some type of knowledge. So just applying that knowledge that you have received, and then as you grow, as you learn more, and as you grow, applying that new knowledge. So I don't know, that's my gem right there. It's just hold yourself accountable with the knowledge that you already have.
That's
I
so
love that.
And that brings us to our homework that we had from last week. So our homework was to create a system to where we create a system to make our life easier. So basically put something on auto. So ladies, did you fulfill your homework?
I did do my homework. So my homework was, so I'm in the process right now of buying a house. Jarvis and I we're buying our first house. It was a big step for us. And I had just been really, really slacking, not feeling motivated, and just kept putting it off. Like I would not necessarily put it off, but I would look here and there, but it was nothing. And then my realtor would be calling me, okay, so what you got this week? What's on the menu? Like, let's go do some showings. Like, let's go do some walkthroughs and I was just like, I ain't ready. But now this week, because of my homework and the system that I created, I got properties on properties. Like we need to go to here. We got full day ahead. So, but so the system was, and it was just kind of something to make it automatic. So in my downtime at work, which I don't have a lot of downtime, but I intentionally carved out this little area right after lunch where it's called advocacy period. And advocacy is like kind of like homeroom. So the kids don't really have to do anything. And so during that time, I'm like, okay, no matter what, like I'm going to look at least 4 to 5 properties. I'm going to write down the realtor's names. I'm going to write down the, pretty much underwrite the property. so that I can know the expenses and the like how much it's going to take for each property for us to live there on a monthly basis, and then what we would need up front for the down payment and the closing costs. So I'll using that time, that's been my little automatic system that I've created for myself. Not super automatic where I don't have to do nothing, but it's just like a system like, okay, at this time I gotta do this, and it's becoming automatic for me. Like, okay, so now advocacy time, like, okay, this is real estate time right now. So yeah, that's been and it's worked. So I'm gonna keep it going this week and the following weeks, and hopefully we're gonna be closing on the property real soon. So yeah, that's mine. How about y'all?
Yeah, mine was centered around budgeting. And so my previous job, I had an inconsistent check. So my hours that I worked were very different. So my checks were always different. So I never really automated any of my bills. So with now that I'm, getting a consistent check and it's the same amount each and every time, now my benefits and everything are coming out. So I know how much I'm getting. I created that system where I'm not having to mentally think, oh, okay, what is today's date? It's the 7th. Okay, I got to pay this bill. Oh, do I have enough money? Do I have, trying to subtract and add and, figure out. It's just automated. So that was my homework.
Oh, that's good. I'm proud of you. That's going to be a game changer right there.
Yes.
That is the game changer. So I failed my homework. I failed the homework that I gave out. But we said it was due on 7 days, so I'm going to do it today. So I was trying to do it this morning, but I was doing something else. So basically what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry, soulmates, don't be like me, be like the Jasmines. I'm going to plan out my content, like my personal content for Instagram to schedule immediate, schedule for itself. Because I'm one of those persons like, I don't want to just schedule things. I want it to be organic and in the moment. But to be honest, I can't rely on myself like that, because sometimes I'd be feeling like, sometimes I have been too busy. And so I'm just going to, after this podcast, I'm going to plug everything in the Planoly and just let it do what it do, because girl don't have time to even think about posting during the week. So sorry, soulmate.
That's real.
But I started picking out the pictures, so I'm in the middle.
That's good.
You building it.
Exactly.
Sometimes systems, they not built overnight. They take a little bit more.
Yes, but I love that though, man. When you automate your bills and you automate your paycheck and like automate stuff going to different accounts, that is a real game changer for like your financial health. So I'm so excited that you're doing that. Actually, I did the same thing. I'm not going to count it as homework because I did it beforehand, because I had a credit card that I was automating, and then I had a credit card that I would pay on the 2nd. And then I was late one time, and I was like, what the? So, because I didn't know I was actually late. And so I had to call them, and they had to refund me like the late fee. But I was just like, to prevent this, I need this to be on automatic and on the first day. So the first day of the month. So yes.
No, that's real. Oh, I got a credit hack for y'all real quick. It just jumped my credit score by 10 points. So I want to share with our soulmates. So yeah, we're paying our cards. So what I used to do, real quick before I even tell y'all the tips, y'all go ahead and subscribe, follow us, share this with somebody if your soul is being fed right now. And if it ever gets fed anytime in the duration of this show, make sure you share, subscribe. Yeah, thank you. But but this credit gem, y'all, it really helped. And I learned it from, our trusted source, TikTok. But TikTok be putting you on some gems while y'all playing. But no, what I used to do was I would pay my card by the 31st of every month. Like I wouldn't roll it over into the next month without it having a balance on it. And my credit score was good, but it was just staying the same. It would go up like 1 point. Or sometimes it just wouldn't even go up a point at all. It would just stay the same, even though I didn't have, of course, keep your utilization below 30%. I didn't have that at all on there, but I would only maybe have 10% utilization, but I would pay it off and my score wasn't jumping. So what I learned is paying your card 15 days before the due date and then 3 days before the due date. And it's going to report to the credit bureau as you paid your card twice. And I don't know why this work like this, but it has been jumping my credit score. So don't do the 31st. So if your card, like for instance, my card's due on the 9th, and I just calculated it 3 days before that. So I paid on the 6th, and then I paid it 15 days before that, and I can't remember what day. I think it was like the 20th or something, where I paid it 15 and 3. So pay it 15 days before it's due, and then pay it again 3 days. And now I'm adopting that with all my cards. I'm doing my card note now. I'm doing it with everything. And I'm about to see if I'm about to get to this 800, because that's my goal. Road to 800 right now.
Yes. Girl, you making me check my
Awesome.
credit score now, because I'm like, what is it? Anyways. Okay, sorry. So now that y'all, we talked about financial health, and if you guys want to learn more about that, we have a whole podcast with financial expert Anthony O'Neill, and we just talked about finances from an actual expert. So, but today we talking about minority health, because it is Minority Health Month. All right. So let's dig into it. So we just gonna have to get into the nitty gritty, okay?
Let's do it.
Okay, because COVID is here, and it's been here for over a year now, and now vaccines have come into our society. It's available. People are taking it. People are not taking it. And if we're gonna talk about minority health, we got to talk about these vaccines. So I want to get my ladies' thoughts on it. And soulmates, we are not doctors, we are not health professionals, we're just somebody with a really good opinion.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Yes.
Facts. And we are not suggesting that you don't take the vaccine, and we are not suggesting that you do take the vaccine. This is completely unbiased. Do whatever you will. We're going to love you regardless.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to let y'all know that I have a 795 credit score.
Hey.
I'm excited because I've been stuck right there.
Girl, yes, honey. I just jumped to 720. I'm like, okay, I'm on the road to riches. I'm trying to get the.
Okay, back to health though. But I had to stunt on y'all real quick.
Girl, 795 goals. Okay.
About this vaccine.
We trying to navigate around the controversial topic.
Yes. So,
gosh.
Kobe, what are your thoughts?
It's like, okay, so when I look at the numbers, it's like, yes, minorities, we are the highest, one of the highest groups, to get COVID and to be struggling with it, right? So it's like, when you look at the numbers, it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, we should get the vaccine. But then when you go to that underlining, history of mistrust, and, you think about the emotional part of it, it's just, we as a people don't trust the government. We don't trust the system. And I'm not one of those conspiracy theory people, but it's like, I get it. I'm not in a place where I feel comfortable. Like, it just hasn't been enough time for me. I feel like, and I hate to be this way, because I've already had it. I'm like, I feel like if you are one of those people who, it's like the benefits and the risk of it it's not there for me yet, Like, it takes time for you to understand and to see the effects, the long-term effects of what a vaccine is going to do. And we just don't know yet.
Girl, I thought we were going to disagree, but I agree.
Look, and I'm still getting pressure from like my grandmother, everybody in my family, go get the vaccine. You need to go get it. You need to sign up today. You keep playing, and but I'm just like, I'm not there yet. I'm not.
Yeah. And I totally understand. And I think it's so I feel like this, guys, and I know this is a really hot topic, but for me, I feel like very very, I feel like you need to be safe. You need to take your precautions of wearing your mask, not being around a lot of people, eating healthy and things of that nature. But I feel like it's been very normalized. So like I have a group, I have like a family chat. Hey Kaden, we have like a family group chat, and once the vaccines started rolling out and that people were able to get it, I have somebody like who's a nurse, which you have to get it. I have a lot of older aunts and uncles, so they're getting it because they've been really stranded in the house. And so for me, I feel like it really depends on who you are and how you live. So I was okay with them getting the vaccine because their mental health probably took a very hard hit because they've been literally in the house not seeing anybody. So I'd rather them be able to get out, get fresh air, get to socialize with people with this vaccine. And I know that if they get it versus if I get it, it's a bigger chance that, I know I'm going to survive, like point blank period. For them, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. And so if they feel comfortable with getting the vaccine, I'm okay with it. But for me and my body, I'm not. I already know that I could fight off this viral disease. I really do. so
I understand. Like I feel you, because I feel like people think the vaccine is going to get us back to a place of normalcy, back to a place where everybody's just open about and free, and and everybody wants to get back to that place. So I get why so many people are for it.
Yeah. I think I get that. And it is mainly, I think it's for, like you said, because in my family, all of the older generation in my family, my grandmother, my father, my aunts, everyone, that because they haven't been able to live that life of normalcy. But then you have the younger generation in my family, like my brother, have a couple of cousins that actually had and survived COVID, like just coughed, sneezed it off. And so it's just like, but the older generation, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was nothing for them, because I did have a great aunt and a great uncle that did pass away from COVID. So, of course, they did both have underlying pre-existing health conditions that was coupled with COVID that did. I think that has something to do with their death as well. But far as me personally, I honestly don't feel like I'm with you, Tiff. I feel like my immune system is strong enough to fight it off. And with all of my natural remedies that I do have, but for peace of mind, for some people, I do think that that's what gives certain people solace so that we can get back to the normalcy. So if that is one of those things, I say by all means, go ahead, get that vaccine, so that, because the more people that are vaccinated will cause the city to open up and become, the city of which we known it. Because I don't want us to stay, having a social distance and be 6 feet and can't hug one another and all those things. Like, so if that's what some people feel like they need so that we can get back to a normal life, then by all means, I guess I'm for that. But personally, I think I'm good. It's like I just survived a year. And if I could just be real transparent with y'all, I feel like if anybody should have had COVID, it should be me, because my boyfriend plays basketball. Like, he been having basketball games in the middle of all this, and I was like, we ain't died yet. I don't know. God forbid. But no, seriously, I God forbid again. But like, I'm just saying, like, I think we good. And it'd be like older men out there playing basketball in their 50s too. I'm like, in their 40s, I'm like, so I don't know. It just made my whole views, like, I'm like, if he got here, he supposed to be in the high risk group with no mask on playing basketball. I just don't know what to tell y'all. I know more about COVID, but yeah, that's just.
And I think also, like, I took my mom because she wanted me to go with her to get the vaccine. So we went twice, right? Because she got the first
right.
one. So went and got her the first one. and that was cool. And then we went to the second one, and so I got her the second one. But what got me was this: after she got the vaccine, they gave us the fact sheet. Oh, this is the fact sheet of what the about the vaccine. They experienced this, or this, and this. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, why aren't you giving this information before we get the vaccine? And then
Right.
one of her friends, she got the vaccine at the place too, but she ended up getting COVID after getting the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom asked about that. She was like, my friend got the shot and then she still got COVID. Like, what's up with that? She was like, well, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the COVID. It like gives you like and you'll have to do your own research, but it gives you like 90%, 80% immunity at the first, and then 90% immunity, and then but you could still get it. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, she said you can still get it, but it builds up it affects your immune system in a way that's able to fight it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking like, I feel like a lot of people are getting a vaccine thinking that they can't get COVID. So it's just, I feel like there's a lot people don't know about the vaccine, but it's really being pushed on us by, you see on Instagram, the little GIF, be vaccinated, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
A lot of people pushing get vaccinated. And also, I ain't gonna even lie to you, get vaccinated. I don't care because you'll get herd immunity, and you need a certain amount of people to get vaccinated to create herd immunity in America, so we could get back to like a normal life. But also, we just really don't know that much about it, and so that's how I feel. But I want you guys to do more. But I still want people to take precautions, because there is people who are want to get vaccinated, and then there are people who are just living their lives like it's normal. But I want people to, if you're living your life like it's normal, going to clubs and stuff like that, don't go to your grandma's house. Don't go
Yeah, exactly. Especially if she's not vaccinated.
Exactly. So it's just like, just be, whether you are for vaccines or not for vaccines, because I could totally understand why you'll be for it, and I could totally understand why you want to wait. But just do what's best for you and what's best for your mental health. But you don't, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. But
Yeah.
so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. But I could totally see why it's just something we do have to just put out there with why Black people especially could feel, a little in fear about vaccines when we look at the history of vaccines and how in the past, how it has affected Black people with the Tuskegee effect, with the syphilis vaccine. So it's like things like that can really, and then, so this is why it's like we're having history like that, and then this vaccine becoming mandatory in certain places can kind of trigger some fear or just some uncomfortability when it comes to the vaccine. Because it's like, how can, certain places say we don't even have a choice whether or not we want to get the vaccine. So I don't know. But then if everyone's getting the same vaccine, Black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, then I guess, they're not targeting only Black people, right?
I don't know, but what I do know is I was listening to the radio and they played that damn get the vaccine commercial like a million times on 97 on the box. So I decided to turn it to a little white station. I didn't hear no promotion. But I'm around black people a lot. So I'm not really around like, that's just the environment I'm in. I'm just not really around other races. So I don't really know what's being fed to them too. But I was looking in the car, it's like, there's a whole lot of Black people. And I saw one white person. I said, okay, you getting the vaccine too. All right. But also, a lot of people at my job, which is very diverse, but like there's white people and they're getting the vaccine too. So that does ease my mind. But there also are symptoms like there are stuff that is happening to people who have got the vaccine, and you have to the CDC. Like my mom was having like this humming in her ear, and she was just like, "What is this?" And then she looked up stuff of like people were actually like that's not going to happen to her, but like people have lost their hearing after getting the vaccine. And so it's just like there's more to this than that meets the surface. And I just think for us as a Black community, since we don't really there has been so much that we can't trust about what's going on in the world, more so than just whether you're for vaccine or against the vaccine, just do your research. What is in the vaccine? What does this cause? How does it really help you? Does it prevent you from getting COVID? How much immunity is it? It's okay for you to know what's going into your body and to ask questions. What side effects are there? And so it's just like more so do your research when it comes to these, because a lot of times we just take what the doctor says for whatever it is, or we take what the news says for whatever it is, or whatever people are pushing on us. But we know from history that we have to do our due diligence for ourselves, and then this option for you. So, and that's on everything.
Girl, yes. Yes. We're gonna end it right there. Yeah.
Cause we wanted to give y'all the real.
Right.
Yeah. So
we know it's a controversial topic.
Very controversial, and for good reason.
Right.
So let's talk about Black people and family diseases and genetics. So, guys, are there anything that chronic diseases that run in your family? And things of that nature, because I believe that it's something that we all should look at. We should think about what our family members have died from, what diseases that they're dealing with, because so we can know how to best prevent that from happening to us and our family moving down the line. So, any chronic disease? I mean, we really put all our
Right. Look, there's still a whole half of my family that I don't even know, and I still want to, that I need to do more research on. But, my immediate family, I know that hypertension is something that is big in our family, and then as well as heart health. So those two things were really key for me to be able to my health is important. And so how I react to certain situations, the reason I'm so calm, it's not just a part of my personality. Like it's something that, my mother has dealt with for a long time as far as hypertension. And so I was like, I'm not going to be stressing out over certain things. Like I'm not going to let certain people get to me. That's just something I've always been mindful of because of that. My grandfather had a heart attack at a young age. So that is something that heart health and making sure my diet, like we immediately changed our diet after that, going from, eating beef to ground turkey, doing more vegetables, incorporating more vegetables, because that's something that I see like at the schools that I teach. Some of the kids were showing me their meals. They were eating, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, and some type of protein. And I'm like, girl, where's your vegetables? Like, where's the green? And it's something as little as, I'm not saying like a lot of them eat sandwiches for lunch, sandwich and chips. Okay, you can eat your sandwich and chips. Add a piece of lettuce and tomato on your sandwich. Put a cup of fruit on the side of that instead of chips. It's the little things, the small things that make a huge difference in the long run. And I think that is what we have to start looking at, is looking at our history, looking at our health, and then making those small changes in our lives, and then teaching our other family members.
I totally agree. And there is a reason why on every doctor form you fill out, they ask you about the history of your family, because I believe they know that if your family is so if your family is suffering from some type of disease, it's really likely that you're going to suffer from that same disease. And we were just talking about earlier, it's not always necessarily because you're just family and it's genetic, but it's the environment that you're in. Are you in an environment where you're very close to power plants? Are you in an environment where you're eating soul food every day? Are you in an environment all these different things that you have a really sedentary lifestyle? So all these things come into what can generate a disease. And so with that, being able to really look back and see, okay, so if my mom or if my dad has had problems with heart disease, high cholesterol, what are the things that I could do to combat this to make sure it doesn't come to me? Obesity and things of that nature. So you could look back and see, okay, what can I do to prevent this so I don't have to get on medication? So I could prevent this for me. What lifestyle changes do I need to make so I could prevent this from happening into my family? And this is like when we talk about generational curses, this is could be a curse that you can break, is your eating habits, your moving habits. And like you're saying, it's not always just like the eating, like how you react to different situations, because we also know that you could be as healthy as possible, but if you're stressed, that produces a hormone called cortisol, which could also can bring up your blood pressure, and it may have a horrible effect on your health. So all of these things about, just going to therapy, all these things that you want to think about so you can live a healthier life. So yeah.
Girl, talk about it. Because these are, and I love how you brought that up. Like, this is a form of those generational curses we always talk about. We want to break generational curses, but that is in and of itself, the generational curses are any of those negative things that have been in your generation from previous years and years, and we want to stop it at our generation. So we have to think about ways that we can still love our parents, but do things differently from our parents, or do things differently from our aunts and our siblings and our, because I know sometimes when you, I guess, go against the grain and do things differently, you could be looked at as the outcast or the black sheep, or you think you bougie now, or, all the negative connotations that sometimes our family members, they don't do, I don't think, out of any hate. It's all out of love, but it's those little changes, that, whether it's just food and you're changing that diet, and you're choosing not to eat fried foods every single day of the week, and you're leaning more toward, grilled foods and baked foods and things that, using healthier oils instead of vegetable oil and canola oil. That's what grandma always fried in, but, grandma has, suffered from high cholesterol and high blood pressure and things like that. So doing those little things, and they're really big things when you look in hindsight, and maybe eventually they'll see the changes that you made. And even if they don't, imagine how you'll be creating new changes for your offspring, your children, your kids, and how we could change the trajectory of our future generations. And like you said, that was a big thing for my family, how we cope with different things. Just seeing your family, like, I know we don't think about, our parents always say, do as we say, but we really subconsciously do as they do. And so we really have to really be mindful, because before we know it, we already reacting the same way that they would react or respond to a situation. We find ourselves saying the same phrases. So if they blow up at somebody that get their order wrong at the food place, next thing you know, we adopting those same habits, and we blowing up, and people like, well, you just like your mama, oh, just like that's something your daddy would have done. And it's just like, okay, let me make that change, that shift. And then guess what? You're teaching that to the next generation. Now your child will know how to handle situations in a healthier way, a healthier manner, because hey, guess what? My mom, it didn't necessarily do what my grandma did, but she made her own way of adapting. And it's like, we don't have to live out these narratives. And so it's just, I'm glad that you brought that up, Kobe, because that's a game changer. Because most times we just thinking about high cholesterol, high blood pressure as a link to food, but it's really, really that stress. And like you were saying, Tiff, that stress creates that hormone called cortisol, and cortisol is linked to not just cancer, but even heart diseases and things like that. And heart diseases, we know in America, one of the number one killers in America. And so heart disease is coming from like even being stressed at work, stressed out in rush hour traffic, stressed out, just in your daily life. And so we have to find ways to decompress and really let go and unpack and become way more mellow. And I'm talking to myself, talking to all of my melanated siblings out here listening to us. Like, we really have to create a new narrative in the minority community.
Right.
I totally agree. And I think the biggest thing too to mention with chronic disease is that it's preventable. Like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of this, we can't change our genetics. We can't change, biologically, we are either male or female. We can't change our age. But there are certain things that we can control and that we can change. We can change our eating habits. We can change, like you said, those stressor, or acknowledge what our stresses are and change how we cope to those things. We can change how we, our whether we're sedentary or whether we're active, we can change those things.
That's so true. And for the things that we might not can change, that has been passed out through genetics, this is another thing that you just really need to just know, because so you can monitor those things more closely. So you can go to the doctor and say, hey, I need you to monitor this so you can catch something before it gets too crazy. So I think we're always basically in the middle when it comes to like Western medicine and natural healing and eating healthy and stuff like that. So there's definitely a balance. But more so, I think it always goes back to doing the really knowing, because a lot of times we are really fed so many things, but when you really dig into the knowledge, you think to yourself, wow, wait, what am I eating? Like, what am I putting in my body? What am I putting in my mind? What am I listening to? What my mom, my dad, my grandma said, is this really true? Like, is this really true? And I love the fact that, Jazz, you pointed out, like, the way you talk and how you respond to things, like how your mom does it, how your dad does, how the people around you respond to things will have an effect on how you respond to things. So this is a time where you have to really take a step back out of yourself and really think to yourself, have I been responding to things correctly? Have I been reacting to things correctly? Or if I'm just taking down what has been passed on to me, do I need to take myself out of an environment where it is negatively affecting me so I can grow? And also, when you hear that, that also puts the responsibility on yourself, because now that we're older, we aren't the kids anymore. We teach the kids. We have nephews. We have children and things of that nature. So they're looking at you. And so now when we're talking about, you're the one to be breaking these generational curses and turning them to generational blessings. That means that you are the one that is responding in the healthy way. You are leading by example, and you are eating the right things. And though it might seem like, oh man, like I've seen this meme, like I'm tired of breaking all these generational curses, but it's a practice like everything else, and you don't have to be perfect. We're human, but do the best you can, because then the next generation, each generation gets better and better. They're going to take on what you taught them and just expound upon that. But always starting with, just let it start with you. If it doesn't, I could honestly say it hasn't started with me. It started with my mom and my grandma, but we also subtracted some things that don't align with who I am personally as a human. We are not our parents, but we can take good things and eliminate the bad things from them.
Yes. I think the goal is each generation to continue to get better and better and better. It's like Nick said, this is a marathon, y'all. We constantly passing the baton to the next generation. And do I want my children to do everything I do? No, I want them to find better methods, and I want them to find better ways, and then to pass those better ways, expound on the good things I've taught them, but then build on the better things that I taught them. But I love, Tiff, I want to go back how you said, we have to question everybody, like question the narrative our mom, our dad, our auntie, the elders in our society has given us. Even so much so, guys, because I know Black people, we I don't know how it is in other minority cultures, but a lot of in my immediate family, not so much with the women, I know we go to the doctor a little bit more than the men in my family, but for some reason we have to normalize Black healthcare. We have to, like, I know we want to be holistic, and I know we want to get grandma remedies, and sometimes, and being honest, sometimes the guys in the family, they ain't even doing that much. They not even doing the natural remedies or that, they just living. And so it's like we have to normalize going the extra mile and doing our research and finding those healthcare, those doctors that are compatible, that do have our best interests. Maybe you might go to a doctor one time and you might feel like, I don't really feel like this is a good fit for me. I don't feel like we mesh. Do you have to go back to that same doctor? No. Find another doctor in your network, ask, get word of mouth, get recommendations from friends, family members, see if they have a trusted doctor that they can refer you, see if your insurance take them or not. But like, we have to do our research and actually go that extra mile and find people that have our best interest, because I don't know if y'all have heard the statistic with the immortality rate in the Black women community, how they're comparing Black healthcare to the police system for men. So they're saying that it's the same for the Black women in the healthcare industry. So it's like, with us knowing these facts and knowing that we have to just be honest, some doctors do not have our best interests. I've been to a couple of those doctors that was telling me I needed surgery, and then I go and get a second opinion. They're like, "You fine." I'm like, what is this? And I'm thinking I'm on the verge of dying. When I go and get 3-4 opinions, and they're like, "No, you're fine." And so knowing that knowing that there, although people wear the suits, people wear the capes, but all people aren't heroes underneath those capes. Some people have hidden agendas, and we just have to be mindful and understand that. But we can't just say, oh, like they did back in the olden days, like, if I go in the hospital, I know I'm not coming out, so I ain't going at all. And so we have to still take, because there are certain diseases that can be prevented, but sometimes we get it in stage 4, and we miss stage 1, 2, and 3, where it could have been stopped and we could have really truly gotten the help that we needed. So I really just want us to normalize taking control. And even if you do get a good doctor, I have a wonderful doctor right now, but it's some stuff I still don't agree with. Like Tiff saying, we have to still question everything. And if something don't sound right to you, you are your body's expert. Like, at the end of the day, you are the expert of your body, not someone else. So take all the precautions, let them be the expert in their areas. But if it's something you don't agree with, you don't have to do it. Like, they're not the boss of you. Like, so still, I just really want to put that out there, because I know some people that haven't gone to the doctor in years and years and years. And I'm just like, there's preventative tests. I think, you probably should have ran, and just to check, just to know. You don't have to get treatment from that doctor per se, but you just to know.
Yeah.
Girl, I totally agree. An analogy that I love to use is like, you go get your car checked up, right? Every 5,000 whatever miles, you go in and take your car to get an oil change. They'll get it checked up to make sure it's running properly. So why not do the same thing with your body?
Yeah.
Right? Why not do the same thing? Why wait until you're not feeling bad, feeling good, or, your health is bringing you to a point where you have to go in and do something, right? Being proactive versus being reactive. So taking those measures, like you said, to go in and just make sure everything is running properly and running the way that it's supposed to be.
I love that. I was also going to bring up the point of just listening to your body. Like you were saying, Jazz, you said, like, we're the expert of our bodies.
Yes.
Like, we even know, like, oh, dang, like, our period is about to start. Like, I feel different, or, you feel different things. So don't just brush those things off. If you feel like a knot in your breast, if you're having weird discharge, or if you're having stomach pains that aren't going away, or if you can't use the restroom, all these things, you really want to pay attention to, because that your body isn't right. So as soon as you feel those things, if they're not going away, in a week, that's the time to just, go to a doctor, get a second opinion, get a third, fourth opinion, pray about it, ask for discernment, ask for that protection. Because yes, like you said, I remember I went to the doctor with my mom, and they immediately it suggested a hysterectomy, and I'm like, that pissed me off. And it was a black doctor. It was a black doctor, but the nurse is the one who said it. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's not like we prefer to go to black doctors, but also it's just like, it doesn't matter. You really have to have discernment. And so,
Girl, right? I don't care if you black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, like still, I'm getting a second, third, fourth opinion on your ass.
it's like, it's just so much like we could dive into. Like, we're big proponents of going to the doctor for preventable measures and for the things that we can't help on our own, that needs additional help. But just listen to your body and just don't let that pass up, because we need you here. We need you to fulfill what God has for you on this earth.
Yes.
With that, let's go and talk about mental health real quick. I know we kind of touched on that, but just different ways to make sure that our mental state is on top, because just like we said, it's not only what we eat, moving around, but it's also how is our mental health that could actually contribute to these diseases and have a mental disease as well. So
Kobe, can you go ahead and share that phrase for us? Share the phrase with the people.
Yes. So the popular saying is that Black don't crack. But in actuality, Black can crack, mentally. We can have those mental cracks, those mental breakdowns, if we're not being mindful and really taking care of our mental health. Like, we get to that point where we're overworking ourselves and then we crash, right? We're so busy. And then it gets to a point where our body is just like, no, not today. Right? You working out, but you're not stretching. That's important, right? Then your leg cramping up, something you have an injury now because you're not, taking those measures to really take care of your health.
Yeah,
that's good.
There's so many different ways to do that. Therapy has been such a big thing that we've been talking about in the Black community, and how it used to be, like, oh, you'd only go to therapy if you're crazy. But no, like you were saying earlier, Kobe, just like the doctor, it's a preventative measurement. It's a mental check. It's something to help you sort through your thoughts and not keep them all in your head. Whether you go to therapy or not, just know that it's not for like people who are at the end of their rope, but people who just don't want to get there.
Let's talk about that. Like, most times, and we do this with health sometimes, we wait until we can't breathe, or we can wait until we can't walk no more. We can't, where we at that breakdown factor. But it's like, had we gone and got it in the early stages, we would never even have gotten to that point. And same with therapy. Is like, I feel like we really have to change that stigma and normalize it. Like, it should be just as normal as you going to get a physical from your doctor. It should be as normal as you going to get a routine checkup for your car, like you get a routine, whatever. Like, it should become that, because it's like, when people do go so deep, all you hear is people judging them, labeling them. But then it's like, like, we really just have to strip off and stop caring about what other people think about us, because we're the only ones that have to unpack and deal and iron out, and truly iron out, because we're the only ones that's inside of our head. We're the only ones that can see the thoughts and hear the thoughts and know what we're thinking of. Even if physically we looking good on the outside, you've been hitting the gym, you strong, your body physique looking on point, but it's like you going home crying every night, or you having those mental exhaustions where you have no motivation to do anything. And so it's like, why are we? And so what made me think about this earlier is because I was watching the Breakfast Club interview with Trapper on Wall Street, something like that. He's awesome. Y'all need to watch that interview. I can't even tell his story, but he was boy from New Orleans, made some bad life choices, and he became, like, after his, I think, third or fourth time in prison, he basically was like, okay, I'm tired of going to prison, but I need to learn, how to make some legitimate money. And so he really found his home in the stock market. And so, but one thing he did say when he got to the Breakfast Club, the first thing he said, he's like, before I even get into anything, I just want to thank you, Charlemagne, because you were the first Black man that I ever heard talk about therapy and talking about mental health. And I never knew that was a thing. And one thing that he noticed, that how he was truly affected by his mental upbringings, things that happened in his childhood, how his mom had shot someone, and he saw that at age 9. And so his first time going to prison, he shot a guy. And he was like, I didn't even think about how that affected me, seeing my mom shoot someone at 9, and then backdoor I go and I shoot someone at 14 or something like that. And so he's just like, these things that we grow up in our childhood, in our household, in our environment, we don't even know. It's like, how I'm trying to say, it's like we have eyes on the back of our head. If we growing up in an environment, we think we don't see it just because it's happening in the other room, or just because it's, you hearing it, but you're not seeing it with your eyes. Or if you're seeing it with your eyes and you think like, oh, that was so many years ago, and that I'm good. I didn't shoot back, but you never talked about it. You never released it. You never got it out because you don't want to talk to your friends about it, because just be real, some things we just don't talk to our friends about. It's just like, that's TMI, or some things you don't want to talk to your bae about. So it's like, who can you truly confide in to really unpack every single thing? Someone that's actually trained and not going to give you that judgment, that biased opinion. So I really think it's something that in the Black community we really should take more seriously, because I really feel like that could be another thing, a piece to the link that help us get ahead. It's like, and Charlemagne, he talks about this all the time on the show, like, my therapist be helping me level up. I had to go and talk to her, had to do an emergency session, because he was feeling, him and the guy, the trapper on Wall Street, they were feeling this I forgot what syndrome they called it, but basically when you come from a not so well-off family, and then you become the one that's doing well, you feel this sense of guilt. Right. And so he was like, I had to talk to my therapist about that, because I didn't know how to cope with it. But I just know I was feeling so bad, like, for having things. I was feeling bad for, living and, just accomplishing it. And he's like, it really messes with you, because these are the people you want to get it more than anybody in the world, and you love the most, the dearest. And I be feeling like that sometimes now with my family. I'm like, can y'all just get it? Can I just, like, I'm trying to tell y'all what to do financially. I'm trying to tell you how to eat right, but you're not getting it. Just get it. And so it's like, maybe I do need to talk to somebody about that. Like, I don't know, but we probably should really take that step and not feel biased about it. It's cool to talk to your church members. It's cool to talk to your friends, but I really feel like it's only so far we go. We talk to people nowadays.
Yeah. And also, it's just like, but I also do want to think about people who may not know how to gain access to therapy, or have the money to go to a therapist, or have the insurance. And so I don't have the solution for that, to be honest. If we find any resources, we'll share them in the next podcast. But I think that's where we really have to step in and think about. This is hard, because I just know, like, how much environment affects us and who is around us. But I also feel like we do know when something's good for you and when something's bad for you. So really just pay attention to who does want the best for you, who will give you the good advice to get you into a better situation. So I don't know, just also be very mindful about who you're listening to, what you're putting into your mind. What are you listening to in music? What are you listening to on YouTube? Is it uplifting you? Is it teaching you something? Is it helping you learn? And things of that nature. Because though I know therapy is great, I just don't know about, I know there are resources out there, so you should probably, do your due diligence to learn how to get to those resources. But also a big part of it is who you're surrounding yourself with as well. That really affects your mindset.
Ooh, I agree. I don't have any resources either, but I do, and I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I'll just say that church has helped a lot, and I know we're gonna get to that later, but that is a big part of my mental health, is being able to have that access to God. So that is huge for me. But and I can only speak for myself. A lot of my mental health issues was rooted in that lack mindset. And so I know that when we start to crush those, so I know that when we start to crush that, lack mindset and start to think in an abundance and prosperity, that you will break the curses of, laziness and doubt and fear. And these are, I think, a lot of times was at the root of other people's mental health, right? Is that we feel like, we don't have certain things. We feel like we're lacking certain things. So when you start to really work on your mindset, then that will shift all the things that, you feel like that you could improve in your life. I guess.
No, that's so true. So it's like the limiting mindset is not, it's so much more than how much money you can make, but it's what you believe that you could actually do. Like, so many people
exactly
are in environments that are like, how can I get out? But it's the limiting mindset of, I can't get out. But once you lift that up and like, you will start creating the actions to do so. It's just like what you think about yourself reflects your actions. So if I think I can if I think I could be healthier, then I will take the actions to buy healthier food, to do my research, to exercise. If I don't think I could do it, like, I'll never do that. I think we said this in the last podcast.
exactly.
I'm just gonna sit down and let life and go into whatever the normal and whatever environment you're in, let that environment be who you are. But no, you have the capability
That's
to
it.
be exactly who God created you to be. It is gonna take work. It's gonna take work for you to step outside, because it just goes back to that scripture that says, you're not of the you're not how is you're not of the world, you are what is the
You said you're in the world, you're not of the world. I don't know. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you're in the world, but you're not of this world. So you're in this world, but that is not a dictator of who you are, who your soul is, and who you are. You are different. You have the ability to step outside and be all that you want to be. But it's just so easy, and it's just going back to, it's just so easy to get caught up in what everybody else says, the normal. But
Girl.
you just have, but like you're saying, Kobe, it goes back to the mindset. It's what you think. And that's why, it's very important for us to say these things, for whoever is feeling the same way, to relay this message, so people could also uplift these limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Important for us to look away. It's important for us to, whatever gift we have, doesn't matter if you hear 20 million other people saying it. There's somebody who doesn't know. Because like you were saying, the guy Trapper on Wall Street, he said the first person to talk about therapy was Charlemagne.
Right.
Charlemagne wasn't the first person I heard talk about therapy.
Right.
But for him, it was. So you never know who's going to be listening to you. And so I just want people to just really like.
That's real.
That's it too.
No, that's real. That's so real. And I really, really just want y'all to know that it is so doable. It is so doable. Like, And I'm thinking about my people that's in these really, really harsh environments, and it's really beyond your control. Maybe you don't have the finances to get out right now. Maybe you don't have the knowledge or to get out, or the so-called credentials to get out right now. But it's like, you really have to be strategic and serious. It's like that moment when enough is enough. And you gotta get on, you gotta move on. It's gonna start in your mind first. You have to see yourself leaving that current space you're at in your mind first. And then, like Kobe and Tiff just said, once you see it in your mind, you're gonna start putting in that action. Maybe you don't have the money to go and veer off and go somewhere where you can go, but in that space you're in, maybe just being outdoors all day. So you don't have to look at that environment that you're in right now. Just go somewhere to the nearest park and spend 45, percent of your day there. Or if there's a Barnes and Noble, a bookstore that you could just go and go find free outlets where you can just park there and spend and really just remove yourself from that environment as much as you can. Even if you can't, if you don't have a car and you can't go somewhere, just go outside, go outdoors. It doesn't cost anything to go outside and just try to find an escape from that environment, to use that time, use that as your working ground so you can start build your mindset up, build your confidence up, and then build that plan up and because it's going to still take the work. Like, you're still going to have to put in a strategic plan. Like, you're going to have to find some resources. You're going to have to but before you even do that, build yourself up. It reminds me when I was trying to move out my grandmother's house, when I had just moved back from college, and I was from Pearland, and then I moved back to the hood, and I was like, and it's funny because, like, I always joke about this all the time. Like, I didn't know I was from the hood until I grew up and realized, like, damn, this kind of hood. And so when I'm serious, because when you're a child, you innocent, you don't know, you just know these are the people that love me, and I'm in a loving house. But now it made sense why my grandma said we couldn't go past the second house on the neighborhood on the street. Like, but when I got back and I was an adult now, I was like, okay, this can't be reality for me. This cannot be life. I had all, you have this college experience and you got your degree and you like, okay, this just can't be the end. So I really I went into that whole depression. Like, you apply for 11 million jobs, and all of them denying you because you ain't got enough experience. And so I was just like, still, this cannot be life for me. I still have to get out and get on my own, go somewhere. And so I literally, what I did, I stayed at 24-hour fitness all damn day long, went from 24-hour fitness to Barnes and Noble, like just back and forth, just filling my mind, building myself up, like with books, with workouts, like I just engulfing trying to become the best version of me that I knew how, going to church, building myself spiritually at spiritual temples. I was just like, this just can't be my reality, and just really starting to get into the power of imagination and manifestation, and just seeing myself in a better place, in a better environment, where somewhere I wanted to be, somewhere where I felt at home, somewhere I want to be happy. And so it's like, you might do that and you might find yourself having to do that again in your future, where you're trying to build a new life. And so every stage where you're trying to go and grow, you might have to find your sacred space and go there and build and grow and manifest where you want to be in your life. And so it's so possible. It's so doable, y'all. It's so doable.
That's so good to hear too, because I remember you saying, like, I have to get out of this environment, and then you did. And also, just like so many people, like you said, even people who do go to college and they get depressed because they haven't been able to find a job. But it's that perseverance that you have. It's that uplifting those limited beliefs. Like, though I don't have this job right now, you don't give up. You don't give up, because one day you're gonna land that job, or you're gonna create a job for yourself. But remember that you are worthy of these great things. But like you're saying, we have to visualize it. But just to go back a little bit, since it is minority health, I just want to talk about real quick. We talk about healthy eating a lot throughout this podcast, but just to make it very simple for you guys, I just want to break down what healthy eating is, which is basically eating whole foods. And that's not going to Whole Foods, the grocery store, but eating whole foods that are from the ground. So, or the trees. So apples, vegetables, frozen vegetables, regular vegetables, but bananas, like these are the things that aren't having anything added to them. And you could make things like smoothies, you could make things like spaghetti, but you want to always look at the ingredients in your food, because a lot of the times things are put out to us like it's healthy, but it's actually not. You don't want to read the front. The front is a lie. It's talking about all these good things for you, but if you turn to the back, you'll read a whole bunch of ingredients that you do not understand.
Right.
So ingredients that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long if it's like a package. But other than that, use things that are just one thing. If it's olive oil, it shouldn't say olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil. It should say olive oil. It should say coconut oil. It should say avocado oil. Breads, like different things like that. I just want you guys to know and start to just really learn how to cook with these different things. So that's the difference between, it's just look up whole foods versus processed foods, because these processed foods is what's really triggering these diseases, because a lot of things are passed in our government through the FDA that aren't healthy for us, and in other countries are not even allowed. So just to better your health, to better your family's health, eat more whole foods, look up what processed foods is, do your own research, so you can start living a healthier life, and just don't take everything for what people say. Because like I said, people will put things in your face and say, this is healthy, this is healthy, this is healthy, which is just, but it could just be low calorie, not actually for you. So yeah, we could do a whole
even
I'm just trying to like,
right. Even with your doctor, sometimes your doctor will tell you something is healthy, and if you look at the back of the ingredients, it's actually not healthy. Like my doctor was recommending that I ate Yoplait yogurt. I was like, first ingredient in this is like sugar, and also like okay, so and it's like, again, this has nothing against my doctor, but we have to understand our doctors are not nutritionists. There's two different things. So we really, and even some of the nutrition, like remember, it goes back to that, question everything and do your own research. You have to do your own due diligence at the end of the day, because it's you who are putting this in your body. Somebody can recommend it to you all day, but at the end of the day, it's not going into their body, it's going into yours. And who's going to be affected by it? We are, or whomever's consuming it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And then the last thing, Kobe kind of hit on this earlier, is spirituality. When I tell you, okay, that really be like, if I'm good spiritually, I'm good everywhere else. So really building that relationship with God. I haven't been to church in like a year because of COVID, a year in plus because of COVID.
Same.
On online sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it don't be every Sunday, but I have realized like the very difference between like being in an atmosphere where people are rejoicing together and worshiping together, and just that routine I had when I was going to church to keep me motivated, and really my life changed. So getting back grounded and getting back connected with God in any way you can, and making that a routine, because I know like Black people, we really do depend on the church, in which we need to do a better balance of like therapists, and also in the church, you can't believe everything that everybody says. So you have to find a good church that's for you. But finding that for yourself.
Yeah.
And on that note, like that is really why I go to the church that I go to, because our pastor really preaches the gospel and the prosperity gospel. So his thing is he's pushing hope. He's pushing, being prosperous in every aspect of your life. And our church is called the Kingdom Builder. So that is, what everything is about. And that has really been the center of, everything that we've talked about, from physical health, mental health to social health, I try to come at things in a prosperous mindset,
Definitely.
Yes, that's good. That's why you just have to find the right messenger, and it might take you sometimes it might take you some time. Like, I'm sorry, my phone went off and I started trying to check the message. But it might take you some go through. So a lot of times what people do, we go somewhere one time and we have a bad experience and we just say that they crazy, they wrong, like this, that. So we just have to understand, like, there's a plethora of everything out there. So like there's not just one grocery store. You got Walmart, you got Target, you got Kroger's, you got Sprouts, you got Whole Foods. So you have a variety. If you have a bad experience at one grocery store, that don't mean you have to keep going there. You could shop somewhere else. There's a plethora of clothing stores. If you could go JCPenney's, Dillard's, Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, you go anywhere. And if you have a bad experience, you don't have to say, okay, all clothing retail stores are bad, I'm just going to walk around naked, So same with your spirituality. You go to one spiritual temple, you go to one church. If it's not feeding your soul, go somewhere else. And maybe you'll find along your journey, your soul will be fed. Same with the doctor. Go to one doctor. It's not a good experience for you. Find another doctor. So we just have to do our due diligence as Black people to if you have a bad experience, it's not the end all be all. You can find the right place for you, especially in church, because our spiritual life is so important, y'all. It's so you can't ignore that aspect of your life. It's like you have a good physical health, good mental health, good. You have to have the whole total package, y'all. You have to have the total package.
Totally agree. So, Kobe,
yes, and I just wanted to add on to that because I really want y'all to like get this with the prosperity. Like it means being disciplined, right? Being disciplined to the point where, and it goes back to that mindset thing, keeping that in mind of that I can, right? I can. Because when you start thinking that way, you won't be wasteful with your resources, right? Because you understand that God has this life for me, right? That's designed for me. He wants me to be prosperous. He wants me to be a ruler of of his possessions, right? So now you become responsible and you're saying, I'm going to multiply. I'm going to be responsible with my resources. I'm not going to be stingy. I'm not going to take all the money that I have and just keep it for me. But I'm going to think about, my family. I'm going to think about my health. I'm going to think about, my well-being and spending my money responsibly. I'm going to think about, I'm just trying to pull those examples of where we fall short with our mental health. Like, I'm not going to just think about what makes me feel good, because I think that's where we get lost. Sometimes we're always thinking about the instant gratification of what makes me feel good right now. But you're thinking about what is going to bring me to this ultimate higher place.
And that's ultimately going to make you feel good.
Exactly.
All that hard work is going to make you feel good. Always.
You're not questioning yourself saying, why was I doing this? Why did I, you're not questioning your past now, because you know that you're making decisions that are going to bring you peace, bring you joy, bring you happiness.
That's good. Woo. All right.
Girl, we're going to end on that note. So y'all, what time is it? It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time. Y'all, if this is your first time tuning in on the Soul Feeling Podcast, we always end our podcast with a positive affirmation. So what the heck is an affirmation? An affirmation is any statement that you are using to transform your life. Either you transforming your life for the good or you transforming your life for the demise. Even in the Bible, it states, let the weak say, keyword here is say. You got to say this out loud. It says, let the weak say, I am strong. So on those days when you feeling sick and tired, down and out, broke, unhealthy, all these other negative emotions, don't affirm that over your life. Instead, speak positive, uplifting things like you're getting better and better every day in every way. You always get through this. I'm an overcomer. You're doing the dang thing, right? and watch how God just continues to bless your soul. I'm affirming that there's 3 of us, and I'm affirming that there are millions, billions, trillions, and generations to come out here tuned in to the Soul Filling Podcast. So we're going to go ahead and end this thing off with our positive affirmations. Who wants to go first? Oh, I'll go. Mine's going to be a fun one. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am rich. I'm at it. I am going to go get that bag. Now, I'm not going to take your stuff. Period.
I like that one. I am greater than my fears.
I am prosperous.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, everybody, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it on. We're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube. And if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating and write something soulful and sweet. You can also follow us on Soul Filling Podcast everywhere on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Well, there, be sure to share this message with everyone so we can all live a healthy life. And happy Minority Health Month. Let's get healthy.
Yes.
Like Kobe said at the beginning of this podcast, with the knowledge that we learned today and that we continue to learn, let us put that into action.
Yeah, I love it. Until next time, soulmates. We love y'all.